So after doing a solo run speedrun with a legendary Pokemon with the 4 times weakness, I decided it's time to do a mythical Pokemon with the 4 times weakness. So here we are with the Hoopa Bound solo run speedrun in Pokemon X and Y. Now this time it'll be actually pretty special. So it's actually a versus against speedrunner 0218. He is another content creator who does solo run speedruns. It's pretty cool. He's a pretty cool guy. He's also done a bunch of back ports, which I've seen some of them and they look really cool. You get to use some of their newer Pokemon in older games, and yeah, he's just done a bunch of different Pokemon to help me complete some of the Pokemon Project S. So this time we're doing the versus. We're both using Hoopa Bound, except we're both using different rule sets. So mine's following my normal rule sets, potions, items, X items, O powers allowed in battle, while he's going with no items at all. No items, no O powers, except he gets to edit the base stats, or yeah, he gets to edit the IVs of his Pokemon beforehand, so he gave it perfect stats. So that's kind of just how the rule, slightly different rules that we had. But yeah, I was very excited about this. Now, before we get into the run itself, let's do a little introduction about Hoopa itself. So Hoopa is a Pokemon with 600 base stat, which is insanely good. That's much higher than pretty much every single Pokemon we've done. However, there are some huge problems with Hoopa. One, it's typing. Psychic Ghost type means it has 2 4 times weaknesses, being Ghost and Dark, and Dark is actually a fairly common typing in this in X and Y, especially with Team Flare, which most of them do have Mightyanas, Lipards, Scrafties, and just I think their Toxicroaks will sometimes also have Sucker Punch. So and there's also Gobats, which occasionally have Bite. And so overall, Hoopa has a really awful typing. Its level up moveset is also that pretty. It's mainly Psychic and Ghost type moves, and also doesn't get Shadow Ball until really late. However, if we look at the base stats here, I will also say that this isn't the best base stats I would have enjoyed, but it had some positives. So the HP stats are right, it's 80, and then its offensive stats are amazing, or to an extent. 110 base attack, amazing, makes it viable even if it's not a strong stat, and then 150 base special attack, which is crazy high. Now it has base 60 defense, which is really bad considering the main, I guess, attacks that can kill it are dark types, and most of the dark types have physical dark type moves, including like Bite and Night Slash. So it was a really rough stat to be at the lowest. 130 base special defense, which is insanely good as well, so we didn't really have to worry about any special attackers, even if they did have 4 times super effective ones. And then a base 70 speed isn't that amazing. It still outspeeds most of the Pokemon in the game, but there are some speedy Pokemon like Weavile and I think Crobat that do outspeed. So that's just also something to just keep in mind. But anyways, here are the rules to my run, and let's get into the run. Okay, so right after the beginning, Hoopa does have Hyperspace Hold, which is an incredibly powerful move. If there's any downside to Hyperspace Hold, it only has 5 PP. So that's a bit on the rough side. I decided to take Viola when my Hoopa was only level 8. I turned into level 9 after defeating Surskit, and I was actually able to beat, despite Hyperspace Hold doing less than half damage to Vivillon, I was able to actually win the fight, but I had to use a potion to just heal up, just because Infestation was slightly doing a little too much damage, which is stacking it up, but eventually I was able to just take it out with Psybeam, so I was able to just beat a Vivillon 3 levels under and level up to level 10 from that. So I was, so if anything, I was comparing this time to Virizion, and it definitely helped beating the bug type gym much faster. I was able to beat it 2 minutes 35 seconds faster, but with Grant it was actually slightly tricky. The main problem with Grant is obviously his Tyrant that has Bite that's strong draw boosted, so it's pretty much guaranteed to one shot every time. However, I guess one of the other big issues is Zamora. His Zamora is extremely tanky and bulky. meaning it can take many hits from us, and after taking a hit, it always goes for Thunder Wave turn 1, and we do not want to get paralyzed, because if you get paralyzed and defeat the Mora, then the next Pokemon that comes up is Tyrant, and if it outspeeds you, obviously it's gonna one shot, so we had to play around that. So essentially the plan was we'll do a bit of leveling up to make sure I'm not horribly under leveled for the fight, since I think the first time I took it I was 6 levels under, and then the idea is to take out Amora, but also take it out when I'm not paralyzed. So essentially just use paralysis heal the paralysis, and then kill it on the turn after. So by doing that, I was able to reach level 21 after beating Amora, so still 4 levels under, but at +1 special attack, hyperspace hold was actually enough to one-shot the Tyrant. So actually we were able to beat Grant down there. Next up is the rival. Now the rival is the rival before Corona is insanely difficult, and the reason is because he has an Absol. This is when he first has an Absol, and this Absol, it's a decently high level, and it has Bite. It's also pretty fast. At this point in the game, we only have Return. Oh, and I guess I didn't really mention, but Hooper does have a slow EXP growth, so it does gain EXP pretty slowly, but it does have a higher than normal base friendship. So it starts off with 100 base friendship, which actually helps a lot for Return. But yeah, so that was our kind of main idea, is to utilize Return against Absol. Otherwise, there technically really wasn't a way to defeat it. So even with like a +1 attack, it still kind of was difficult. So what I had to do was just do a bit of training. So level up, I think I leveled it up to like around 28, and then by also leveling up, it would also increase my friendship, making Return do more damage. So eventually we were actually able to beat it, and this was actually a lot faster than Speedrunner, because since he doesn't use items or powers, the only way he had to beat the Absol was to just significantly over level and get some EVs on this Pokemon. Otherwise he had really no way of beating it, while we had just O powers to artificially boost our stats for one fight. But yeah, with that, we beat the rival, and I would say this is probably one of the most difficult fights, probably for at least for Speedrunner, that was for sure. But yeah, Corona herself, obviously easy. Her gym are fighting types, and we're ghost type, and Corona is famously easy to beat if you have a ghost type. So yeah, Hoopa literally struggled, did not struggle whatsoever. Corona was a breeze, and that always feels nice. But next up we got Ramos. Obviously Ramos doesn't do anything. Ramos is a grass type trainer, but his jump pluff doesn't do enough damage. Let's say his go-go does tank a hit from us, but it doesn't also do any damage back, other than I guess Bodos, but that's not really too much threatening. And we go to the power plant. The power plant has a lot of dark types. Mainly the main kind of issues was Scraggy. So the idea, the thing is, Scraggy was relatively tanky enough to tank a hit from us in some cases, since I did teach power up punch at this point. So I actually kind of realized that I think Return actually did more damage than Power Up Punch, even if Power Up Punch was super effective. But yeah, kind of my plan was for some of these fights was to stack up Power Up Punches before Scraggy comes out and just take it out when it comes out, or for my Diana. But if it comes out first, then I'd had to just hope an O power +1 attack for Return or Power Punch was enough to just take it out. But yeah, with that done, we take on Clement. Clement was insanely easy because we can one-shot Imoga, and then we just spam Power Up Punch and Magneton and Heliolisk, and with that we're able to easily take him out. Like usual, he's not a problem. And also the rival fights from now on actually are significantly easier, since we don't have to worry about Absol anymore, other than just being able to outspeed. Essentially you just set up Power Up Punches on his Meow Stick, and then once Absol comes out, you just easily one-shot it. It's not much of an issue. But with that down, we take on Valerie. So Valerie, fairy type, the main thing is just we got to take down Mawile one hit, because Mawile's only attack is crunch, and so essentially you got to take down Mawile right away. Yeah, I think also is crunch and feint attack, but actually we were able to live one feint attack. We are able to take it out in just 2 hits, and then Mr. Mime and Sylvia really don't do anything. I think at this point I actually did try and stack up attacks using Power Up Punch and his Mr. Mime, since it was kind of slow to kill, and it did set up Reflect. So after setting up that, I just returned, just take both of them out. But next up was Olympia, and so I made a slight mistake around this time. That being, I was about to learn Phantom Force, which would be stab and a physical type move. But I didn't teach it because I was like, oh, 2-turn move and it's physical and it's fine. I'll just wait for Shadow Ball. But after like choosing not to learn it, I realized, wait a minute, the Psychic type gym, that would have been really nice to have. So essentially we take on that without any ghost type moves, but it was actually kind of fine, because he starts off with Sigilyph, and Sigilyph does not actually deal enough damage to threaten Hoopa, since Hoopa has such a high special defense. So we just set up Power Up Punches on it, and then once we get to a high enough attack, we just spam return and just one-shot everything. So we have that. We take on Lysandre, and Lysandre, it really isn't that hard, because at this point we also do get Thunderbolt. I don't think I utilized Thunderbolt in the first hit, but the idea was to set up Power Up Punches. At least the first 5 set up Power Up Punches, take down pretty much everything, and yeah. The stack, he does send out like Murkrow second, but the setup, I realized actually Pyro Punch was not enough, so I just used Return to take that out. And then when Pyro comes out, since it's trying to click Dark Pulse, you just get a chance to set up Pyro Punches on that. And when Gyarados comes in, just a nice easy return, was able to take that. Now, in the Team Player Hideout, there's something I learned that made me realize I've been making a huge mistake for every single X and Y run, and that's 2 of the rooms are optional. You don't even need to go into one of them, where you find the 2 professors' assistants. You don't need to even go in there. So that was just like a few seconds that constantly wasted. The other is the 2 admins, back-to-back admin fights. Those are not even mandatory fights. Those are both optional. Each time I've done them, and this time I wasted like 10-20 minutes on trying to beat them, because they had Drapion, and then the second one led off with the Liepard, and also had the Bisharp, so it was just insanely hard to beat. I had to rely on Focus Blast, I think, at some point to try and beat it. And it's just, yeah, a bunch of these add-ins just gave me so much difficulty. But 2 of them were completely optional, and I realized that afterwards, so I felt kind of stupid because of that. But yeah, after that, Lysandre 2 is when I think I utilized Thunderbolt, I'm pretty sure. But then after beating him, yeah, so it's just simply set up Calm Minds on me and Xiao, and then once it starts getting slightly threatening, or just when I'm strong enough, you can just simply spam Thunderbolt, Side Beam on everything, and just easily take it out. And that's also what I did for the 3rd Lysandre fight, because the Lysandre 3rd, even though I can't use O powers, since I can't use any O power, since I can't use O powers, it's honestly fine, because Acrobatics did less than half of our health. I think it did around like a third of our health, or even slightly less than a third. So I was able to just potion up and just set up Calm Minds until I could confidently one-shot everything. So yeah, with that, Lysandre was actually a pretty easy fight, thankfully. And then obviously next up would be Wolfric. So Wolfric, honestly, was not much of an issue. We can set up Calm Minds easily on his Abomasnow, but I'm pretty sure I didn't even use it. I think just O power, accuracy, and special attack. So just use that and Focus Blast everything. Just nice, quick, easy one shot. So with that, we're able to complete that, and then we take on the final rival fight. And the final rival fight, obviously, it's not much different than everything else. I think at this point in the game, since I didn't have Pyro Punch anymore, I just set up Calm Minds instead, which also did the same thing. And on Victory Road, I also did get Shadow Ball right before, so I actually got rid of Thunderbolt at that point. So at this point, I think my moveset was like Focus Blast, Side Beam, Shadow Ball, and then Calm Mind. But yeah, finally using Calm Mind for the first time actually, since each time you get that nice setup move, but you never really used it because I haven't really had any Pokemon that needed it. But yeah, now it's time to take on the Elite Four. So to start off, I decided to choose the Steel type one, since the Steel type one tends to usually be the most annoying one, mainly just because Klefki with Torment makes it so I can't set up that many Calm Minds. So I decided to just use X items, boost up my defenses just in case something went wrong with the Ninja Slash, and then try to set up as much special attack as possible to be able to one shot. So I was able to take out Klefki with the Shadow Ball, with the Shadow Ball, Scizor with the Focus Blast, Aegislash with the Shadow Ball, even in a shield form, and it just slowly took out Probopass after he spammed a bunch of potions. So with that, we're done with that, and I decided to take on the Water one. The Water one, I had some slight issues because Claw Wither did a lot of damage with Dark Pulse, and obviously I would try to set up Calm Mind first, so I am able to take it well, but after taking down Claw Wither, +1, or I think it was even +2 special attack, was not even enough to one-shot Gyarados. So sometimes it'd get set up Dragon Dance or just use Waterfall and take me out when I'm at low HP. So that was just kind of rough. So essentially, I think the way I went about going this was just, I think either O powers or just I think I might just use O powers or just hope and pray I got a nice roll. But with that, taking on the Water one, take on the Dragon one next. Dragon one's easy because she leads up with the Dragalge that does 0 damage to us, so we're able to set up like a bunch of Calm Minds and just easily take it out. And then that's just kind of same for the Fire Elite Four, Amalva, since she leads off with Pyroar, so we just set up Calm Minds in that, and it doesn't even have Dark Pulse, so it's an easy setup. We're able to just take out everything there, no problem. And then finally, it's time for Diantha. So Diantha, she does lead off with a Hawlucha. I think the first time I did make a little mistake and got a little greedy. I think her Hawlucha only has Acrobatics to hit us, or Poison Jab or something like that, or X Scissor. Yeah, it was X Scissor. So essentially, we need an O-Power speed to outspeed it, and I think I also might have used an accuracy just to make sure I hit my Focus Blast if I needed to. But yeah, set up a few Calm Minds until it got kind of threatening, and it just took it down with Side Beam. And then for Tyrantrum, just also took that out with Side Beam. Awarus, just take it out with a Focus Blast, because I totally do not miss my Focus Blast. For Gudra, I think it took probably like was it Gudra, I was able to just take it out with the Side Beam, and then after beating Gudra, I was able to level up and get Psychic. So I got Psychic after that, and I guess I also took out Gorgeist with Shadow Ball. I don't remember when that happened. And then finally, Mega Gardevoir comes out, and I just take that out with the Shadow Ball. And with that, we beat the game at 3 hours, 3 minutes, and 7 seconds, which is obviously slightly off of the sub 3 hour mark, but regardless, it's actually not a bad time. It did beat actually most of the Pokemon other X and Y runs I've done. So actually, if we take a look at the rankings here, Hoopa's actually number 5 out of 10 Pokemon that I've done for X and Y, which is surprisingly not bad. And it's in the top half. A lot of Pokemon that were faster than it just had better offensive abilities. I guess in a way, I think it's mainly just it doesn't get most of the Pokemon didn't really get hindered by 4 times weaknesses, while Hoopa really struggled a lot with that. But with that, we're now done with X and Y. Solo run, speed runs for now, and so now we're going back to the Hoenn region with Auras. So the Auras, I've already randomized to 10. If you're curious about that, just check out the doc in the description and check out the tab for Auras runs. The order is subject to change, so I can't really say what's going to be next, but hope you enjoy, and we'll see you in Auras in Hoenn. See ya.